Alrighty, so I just wanted to hop on here and sort of talk about 2025 Dokkan and something that I do not like. And I'm sure some of you, based on the tab that I'm on here on the good old fashioned Dokkan info, can figure out what I'm talking about. But specifically, what I want to focus on today is the sort of way that content is formed in Dokkan this year, and specifically why I don't like it. Right now, I think specifically like new releases and things like that for the hard fights in the game are not fun. And I think I am upset about that because last year I thought that it was different. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to specifically look at a few fights that the game, or really just all of the difficult fights that Dokkan has done, essentially since the 10th anniversary, and talk about the good ones, talk about the bad ones, discuss what I think makes a good fight, discuss what I think makes a bad fight. So if that interests you, go ahead and leave a like and stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. So, to me, what makes a good fight is replayability as well as challenge. Now, where these things kind of can become a little bit muddy is the challenge worth the time? And that is where the Festival of Battles is where we'll start. The most infamous fight of 2025. Easily, people do not like this, and that's okay. We're not going to be rambling about it for too long, but this is where the factors come in. Is this fight, do you feel like that when you clear it, is it worth the time? To me, this event has a lot of replayability because I don't really care about winning it every single time that I go in. I like watching characters stack, and if I get unlucky and lose, I get unlucky and lose. But it can be frustrating when it's your first time clearing or something like that. I can definitely understand that. So I think for the general consensus here, this is a poorly designed fight for the fact that it is 50 phases and people do not have enough time for that. And that's completely okay. But I also think that there's a lot of replayability here because it's fun to see what specific characters can do. What I like about this fight is it does not take control away from the player as much as Dokkan can. At the end of the day, every fight is going to have, for the most part, some super placement RNG. It's going to have bad orbs from time to time. You're going to get unlucky with the hidden potential super. These are things that you cannot take out of the game, but for the most part, you're in control of your rotations. The bosses are not taking away your HP. They're not adding bombs to the field. This is where I think it's a nice little chain, or like a nice way to do it. But I think a really good example this year of a fight that is very fun and replayable is in the Goku Story Red Zone. And specifically, this is going to be the fight against Vegeta. I think that this fight has a lot of good things going for it. It has a very easy to understand super, right? It's always going to be in that first slot, so you know what the characters are going to be doing. There's a little bit of orb changing here, and there's a lot of HP, so you have time to go in and actually enjoy the fight, take your time, build characters that you want to build up with, right? Stack characters, see the prowess of units and things like that. I think that this is a well-designed fight. But for the overall theme of 2025, for some of these good fights, like the one against Blue Vegeta, there are a lot of bad fights. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of the first examples, and that is going to be the most recent stage of the Giant Form Cataclysmic Impact Giant Form Clash, and that is going to be this fight against the Great Ape Team Bardock. I think personally, this fight sucks. This is probably my least favorite fight of the year. Just based on what it is doing. Now, it's not that they hit too hard. It's not that they're not like tanky enough. It is this simple fact right here. It's really what Fasha does, and it's what Tora does. I think that this and this are a horrible combination, as well as the just kind of the way that it works, right? The HP debuff at the beginning, the ability to seal, and then the 100,000 per Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. I think that this fight was a direct counter to Omega Shenron. That is sort of what they were going for because of the fact that team has so much Rainbow Orb changing. You're sort of forced to not do that, and you're also forced to sort of run the team in a specific way, so you have giant forms and things like that, or you can't bring Rainbow Orb Changers. But the problem is a lot of modern characters have some form of Rainbow Orb Changing within their kit, and I think that becomes a little bit of a problem. So what I'm getting to with the point here is that you may say, vilify, this is a gimmick fight, and that right there is the problem. I think in 2025, Dokkan has released way too many gimmick fights for the current content that we are in, right? Now, at times this can work, but a lot of the time it's just really annoying. And when we have that, it's like sort of the problem here. Right now, I don't really enjoy any of the hardest fights in the game. And it's not because I'm horrible at the game. It's not because I don't have the characters. The only major LR that I'm missing right now on the main account is the Gohan, Goten, and Trunks. And they are by no means gatekeeping me from maybe being able to no item run everything. Right. But let's get started with what most people are calling the hardest fight in the game right now. And that is stage 1 of the battle against Goku Black and Zamasu here. Now, I am personally of the camp that in true terms, every fight in Dokkan is a gimmick fight when you really break it down. But some of these have ones in specific that are just extremely, extremely frustrating. And that's what we're going to be going over here. That doesn't look like the proper difficulty. Let's go to this one. That's a little better. Yeah, that HP looked off. Okay. So when we look at this here, why is this a gimmick fight? Because RNG plays a huge factor. You can get locked, and then there's healing here, and then this Goku Black, you cannot target one of the enemies specifically before taking out one of the other ones. Now, what do I like about this fight in specific? I think it's very immersive for what you're trying to do, right? Like Goku Black gets stronger as he fights, and you don't want to potentially deal damage to him because it seems like every time that you damage him, when they were damaging him in the anime and in the manga, he was getting stronger, coming back with new stuff, and it was just a pain in the ass to fight him. And then Zamasu, obviously with the healing, it has the immortality aspect to it, but to me, it's right here. This is probably my least favorite boss mechanic in the game because it takes control away from the player in a game that already has a lot of RNG elements to it, right? Like I said in specific, unless the super is in a scripted location, super attack for the enemy placement is going to be random a lot of the time, right? Characters are going to have bad opening rotations and things like that. So sometimes you could have the perfect opening rotations for what you're trying to do, and a lock could potentially take that away from you. Then when we look at some of the other fights that have come out this year, we go over here to the Supreme Magnificent Battle, and we look at the way that these were designed with the Gohan, Goten, and Trunks right here. Wrong fight. Your boy is a little silly. It's this one right here, right? Yeah. So a super that just rips you for 11 million off the rip and 4 million normal attacks, right? Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was literally losing to normals a week after he came out because of this gimmick fight that came out. So what I find in my experience playing these fights is, we'll look at this isn't the right version with the numbers, but you'll get the idea. What happens with these fights, you go in, a character gets locked, you lose, oh well, you reset, right? We go right here, a character goes in, you don't get lucky with the super, there's limited attempts here, like Omega Shenron doesn't counter Gohan super, you lose right back to it, right? 6 attempts per day on this one, unlimited attempts on this one. But nothing you could do, bad opening rotations on all 6 of your opening rotations or something like that on all 6 of your attempts, you lose, you can't do anything about it, it's over, right? Gimmick fight. And I just don't find much replayability in a 3-turn fight where all you're hoping for is good opening rotations or using the tech androids to sort of work around it. And I just don't find that fun. And that's what I felt like most of the content this year has been. Now, has there been good fights? Sure. But I feel that a lot of them are just silly and gimmicky and not really meant to, don't have that level of replayability that we saw in 2024. And we're going to talk about 2024 here in a little bit, but I want to continue to sort of talk about 2025. Now, with this fight right here, again, sort of the same thing where they give us this fight and the whole idea is just to call Zeno, which is fine, right? It's fun. It's like a cool little gimmick thing, but again, it's not a fight that I'm coming back to, and I find myself bored because there's not much to do for me other than unironically go play the Festival of Battles because that's just where I have the most fun right now. And I don't like that a 50-phase fight is where I'm having the most fun. So when we have these negative aspects from the sort of way that the content has been designed, Million Arena, we're not going to talk about that. That's a whole different thing. I'm not coping. It's just not good. It's very silly. It's not meant to be like, cater to the new units and stuff like that, except for the TN situation. A whole different thing, right? But then we have something like this. Again, the Gogeta's clones, like stuff like this, I think is fun. It's not replayable, but it's fun. Like you got to find the clone at the beginning, and that's kind of a fun time. So I can't hate on that too much. It's the same thing here with this, right? Where you're supposed to just go in and call Zeno and then it's over. And then this red zone, not really much to talk about here. These just were not boring. These were not fun fights, right? Red Zone Broly, they had an opportunity to sort of recreate greatness and let us have like one of the hardest fights of all time. Red Zone Broly on release is probably one of, if not like at least in my experience playing, for sure has been the hardest fight on release. When I in my history playing the game, and I've been playing since about 2020. For me, this was the old Red Zone Broly was the hardest fight that I've ever experienced, just because of that AOE super and the ability not being able to dodge it. But that is sort of where 2025 hard fights are. I just think they're boring, and the ones that are difficult are just because of some silly condition that they threw in that doesn't make it fun. Locking, sealing, rainbow orb changing that is bombs. Like there's just not really much of a way to work around that. And I think it's just not that fun. And if you disagree, that's completely fine. But what I want to look at now are some of the fights that I liked from the 2024 version of Dokkan that actually ended up, being pretty challenging and I thought had some good replayability to it. And the best example I can give you from 2024, at least to me, was the Goku and Frieza fight. And that might sound silly, and maybe I'm off base here, maybe I'm out of touch, but I really enjoyed the way that this fight was designed. The locking here was a bit frustrating at times, but you also had a little bit of a window to sort of set it up so you could potentially have a character you're comfortable being locked in slot 3. So potentially if they need to go to slot 1, you can put them in slot 3. That way they end up in slot 1 on their next appearance. And if they do get locked, you'll be okay. So you kind of have that workaround to get through that if it's a problem, right? When a fight just locks you right off the rip and there's nothing you can do and you just lose, I think that is a little bit frustrating. But again, with the 17 phase here, again, locking, I'll concede that is annoying. I think that the dodge disabling here was fun because, again, it promotes the usage of the UI Goku domain, and it makes you think a little bit, and it's like the pure UI Goku team isn't always going to be perfect here, and you sort of have to play around the fact that UI Goku is going to have his dodge disabled, the tech one with no domain, and then the AGL UI would potentially be dealing with this problem. But maybe what would happen is you go with low HP and you'd have the revive or something like that, or something along those lines, and you'd have to think about it because of the fact that dodge was disabled. So at times this could be frustrating, but it's also sort of well designed. And then you go into this Goku and Frieza fight, and the only big problem I had with this one was the damage threshold for 0 damage. This at times really could be frustrating a lot of the time. But what I liked about this fight in specific was when you had to start thinking about, like, when do you want to attack? How do you want to attack this character? And it's sort of a race against the clock where you don't want to face them at under 50% HP. So you want to take them from 60 to 0, or you want to take them from 100 to 50, but then you have guaranteed dodge on the next turn or something like that, or you have the Dokkan attack lined up with like AGL Jiren and you can just one-shot them. I thought that this fight was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the challenge that this fight presented. And if we look at some of the other ones from 2024, we could look specifically, I'm looking for a specific one. It's the Dragon Ball Super Supreme Magnificent Battle, right? The fight against Blue Gogeta, I thought was pretty fun as well. A fight that had an AoE, so that could be a bit annoying. But again, replayability here and not just straight up like one-turn gimmicks or nothing but locking and sealing and things like that. And I think last year just had better examples of more fun fights that were more replayable. I had more fun testing out a character in the Blue Gogeta Red Zone or the Goku and Frieza fight because I think each unit sort of provided a different approach to it rather than just what we see in 2025 right now, which is, okay, let's take them into the next generation Saiyan event, right? They have no way of getting around an 11 million super attack. Oh, okay, they lose, right? They can't deal with a 4 million normal attack in slot 1 or slot 2. Oh, okay, we lose, right? Like one turn. Or you look at the Goku Black and Zamasu fight and the character has an AoE, so you have to hit Goku Black and then he supers a character that can't take a super and you lose, or a character that's not slot 1 gets locked or something like that. I just think it can be frustrating. Now, to give 2025 some credit, I think Union Master was a very good choice. Not this. This was free stones. Don't worry about that. I didn't even click that. But if we go here, Union Master I think is good because this is a more updated take on Super Battle Road that is more friendly for newer players, which to me is extremely important. A lot of people that watch my videos are newer players to the game, and more accessible, difficult content for them, I think, is a good thing in the long run. So I think Union Master was well designed. I think that was fun. Some of the seriously serious stuff has been super nice, has been seriously nice. I'll be here all day, folks. And I think that, getting the tickets from like the weekly missions has been cool. These fights haven't been too difficult, but they can provide a challenge with the unique missions that they bring. Again, not too replayable, so that is a little bit of a problem. But you guys know how it goes. So, what do I want you to take away from this video? I think that 2025 Dokkan has had some super high highs, some super low lows, but I just don't really like the difficult content design from this year. And sometimes these things are going to happen, right? It doesn't mean I think the game's in a horrible spot. Right now, this is traditionally on the Japanese version, this is a slow period. And it is sort of just the way that it is. When global players typically have the Tanabata LR to look forward to at the beginning of October because the worldwide download celebration just ended. So again, this is the sync schedule, and this is what we're just gonna have to start getting used to. So, as the years go on, hopefully they figure these things out. But I just really don't like the way that content is formatted right now. And the fact that a 50 phase fight to me is the most replayable of this bunch is just not where I want to be. So let me know if I'm way off my rocker here in terms of where I'm at, but I don't think I am. I'm not really a fan of the difficult fights in the game. I don't like testing out units in the Goku Black and Zamasu fight. And maybe that's just me. Maybe some players do. That's completely okay if you do. I'm not saying you're wrong if you do. But that is all I got for you in this one. So let me know down below what you think of 2025 Dokkan difficult content and all that fun stuff in the comment section below. If you made it up to this point, leave an orange heart in the comment section below. And I appreciate you guys watching this one all the way through. So thank you guys for watching as always. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new. Big shouts outs to all my members over on the YouTube side of things. I appreciate you greatly. If you want to become a member, you can click the link in the description or hit the join button next to my channel name. Thank you guys as always for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.